Okay, so I'm going to be talking about some things. So, first, I'm going to talk about Tucker Carlson. So, Tucker Carlson is the best person that was on Fox News, and yeah, him being fired or removed or whatever it is, he's no longer working at Fox News, so he's no longer on Fox News. Well, that's Fox News. Fox News made their worst decision because Tucker Carlson was the best person on Fox News. But like Tucker Carlson as a person is okay. He just speaks common sense most of the time and tells the truth. Tells the truth most of the time. I didn't say all the time, so just to let you know. But yeah, I have to say, I respect Tucker Carlson for being respectable. He was respectful to Ye. He was, respectful when he interviewed Ye, and I really like that because it really helped more people get to see a different perspective. So that's all I'm going to say about Tucker Carlson. And I know people want to bring up politics or whatever, but I don't see Tucker Carlson, no matter what. I just look at the ideas and what he says, and I just, it's just very interesting, and it's just true. The majority of stuff he says. So deal with it. You want to say what you want to say? Say it. I dare you. But anyways, I'm going to continue on to the next thing. I'm going to be talking about industrial society and its future. I'm going to be talking about that audiobook. So, that audiobook is interesting because the thing is, what would I say? The problem is, I understand the whole thing of natural, living with nature, and the problem with the industrial society, and the problems with people and how things have, messed with people psychologically and how it's messed up how people live and how it'd be better if we, changed our ways, but I could get really specific, but I don't want to get specific for specific reasons. I don't want to get specific about the audiobook. But I'm the type of person where I can't go with those ideas within that audiobook, Industrial Society and its future, because I'm really about, I really support creativity. I really support the internet because the internet has so much sources, so much information of creativity. I'm just into so many different ideas. I just can't support those ideas by themselves and be just part of it and trying to push forward that. I just cannot agree 100% with the ideas of industrial society and its future. And the guy who obviously made his, the guy, that guy, I don't like that because I don't like violence. Violence is a terrible way to get across your message. I know people can make reasons. They could say, well, things get this bad. Someone has to do that because they're trying to stop this terrible thing. And he predicted the future with this book that he made a long time ago. Alright, this is, even though it's not technically a book because it was in the newspaper, if you do the research, the history, but it's been turned into an audiobook, or maybe I got it mixed up, but I'm just so into creativity, so into so many different ideas. Actually, what I want to talk about is the seltzer rate. Oh man, I feel like I'm saying it incorrect. Seltzer. A seltzer rate. Yeah, like a seltzeration, I think, or something. It's very interesting, the idea, technology of I thought it was technology accelerates that a call for drastic intent. Yeah, call for that calls for. So this is accelerationism, accelerationism. It calls for a drastic intensification of capitalist growth, technological change, infrastructure sabotage, and other social processes in order to destabilize existing systems and create a radical social transformation. So it's very interesting, right? So to accelerate, it's like just next level, right? So it's very interesting, these ideas, because there's the idea, right, of like, no, we gotta stop this industrial society. We gotta stop all this stuff that's going on, and we need to be more natural and live like we need to force it, or if we're not gonna force it, or if we're gonna figure this out, or whatever, to get to the point where we live naturally. And then with like accelerationism, it's like, no, we need it to have this type of growth, so it goes to this crazy level, so then there can be this radical social transformation, so that the things get this crazy, this next level of growth, that it ends up getting to this point where there's going to be a change, there's going to be a transformation, where we get to the point where we're going to get at, because it's basically, it's like something becomes so big that it crashes and falls down and it collapses, right? It kind of like the Roman Empire. Am I getting that right? Is that a good example? I don't know. But maybe, like, I don't know. But like, it's like something about like you can't destroy like a place until it destroys itself within, or something. And it's very interesting, all these ideas, right? But it's like, I don't know, because there's so many different ideas, you know what I mean, of like how to go with things, to do with freedom, to do with censorship, to do with political correctness, to do with control, to do with power, to do with psychological games, to do with mind games, with psychological, you know, more with empathy. Then there's apathy. You know, it's crazy, these ideas, you know, with people. And to think that there's people who have these ideas, and that there's people who support these ideas, there's people who are acting upon these ideas to push their... So it's weird, all these agendas, with all these ideas people are trying to push forward. It's very interesting, and it's kind of funny, like, how these ideas, people who didn't even know about this out of nowhere, for like a joke video, like with a meme, or with like just randomly with a video that pops up suggesting, like, or do some more research about something, and then you find out about another thing. And it's just so crazy with the internet. You can learn about so much stuff from history, from the past, you know, or like these ideas that are of old, but they're new to you because you didn't hear about them before. So it's crazy, the ideas with all this stuff. There's so many different ideologies, so many different philosophies, so many different ideas, and it's just crazy. It's just what the world is with people, and it's just like, it's something like, it's like what? And I'm just like, you know, creativity, you know, I like to make art. And that's where really where I am when I'm looking at these ideas. I'm not going to try to push any ideas, really, because it's just like only whatever is like I'm trying to do for like myself, what I'm trying to do with my life, how I'm trying to live my life, what I'm trying to do. So it's like I'm just trying to make art. I'm trying to, you know, I'm trying to use my creativity. I'm trying to tell the truth, you know, talk about what I'm thinking about, you know, stuff that's kind of interesting. You know, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to say this one more time. The Communist Manifesto is boring because it says the bourgeoisie, whatever. I don't know how to pronounce the word. You can use that to use it against me, but I don't know how to use the dumb word about, oh, rich people or whatever, the upper class or whatever. Like, oh, they're making it difficult for the working class or whatever in that book or whatever audio book. It's so boring. The Communist Manifesto audiobook, when I listened to it, it was so boring. But at least when I listened to the Industrial Society and its future audiobook, it was more interesting. And then there's this idea of like this audiobook being in time, and it's just ridiculous. It's just a whole bunch of getting really detailed into blah blah blah, into all these ideas, and it's like a whole bunch of information and getting really detailed where it's really unnecessary. If I were to say it, like, and there's people who treat it like, wow. Like, people treat that book that was written a long time ago like, wow, whoa, that's crazy because it's so complicated. It's like, no, it really isn't. I would say is a very unnecessary audiobook. It's an unnecessary book. Being in time, I know some people would probably be like, what? Because there's probably like, if you were to get someone who probably like is like wowed by that book or audiobook or whatever, and then they listen to me, they're like, what do you mean unnecessary? Didn't you hear this? Didn't you hear that? It's like, yeah, that's usually what I think about. So many ideas, I think about so many things. And you know what? Guess what? Guess what? Guess what? Guess what? Politicians? Okay, listen, I'm gonna say this. Guess what, politicians? Guess what, philosophers? Guess what, teachers? Guess what, celebrities? Guess what, social media losers? Guess what, businessmen? Guess what, entrepreneurs? Guess what, everybody else? I can't name everybody, right? All the different labels. But guess what? I believe in God. I believe in the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Are you feeling threatened yet? No, you shouldn't. Because you should believe in God. Because it's that energy, man. It's that thing. It's that thing that I'm just so 100%. You know what I mean? The truth is the truth. And that's what scares the politicians. That's what scares the philosophers. That's what scares the politicians. That's what scares the philosophers. That's what scares the politicians. That's what scares the philosophers. God, and it shouldn't. They should believe in the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. But you know why they're scared? Because they're straying so far away from the truth. These politicians lie so much. These philosophers lie so much. Scientists, that's all I'm going to say. Scientists. You know what I'm saying. Scientists are a bunch of liars. Studies are studies. Theories are theories. They're not the truth. That's why they're what they are. They don't call it the truth. They call them theories. They call them studies. It's not the truth. Everyone wants to act like when you poll people, oh, out of 1,000 people, the majority said that they supported this person. Trash. You're not polling the whole country. You're not polling the whole... It's not like you're having a poll of the whole country saying yes or no about a politician. Saying, oh, do you support this or are you against this? Oh, yes or no? Like, it's not like you're getting like even 1 million people. You don't even ask 1 million people. You're only asking out of like 1,000 people. And people going just like, oh wow, did you hear that? This poll said that 90% of people were against this person. It's like it doesn't matter, it's out of 1,000. I find it always so foolish when they put that up, like those articles or whatever, are on the internet or the videos or the news networks. They're like, oh, 90%, oh, 75% or whatever. You know, they're like, oh, they support this or oh, they're against that. It's foolishness because usually it's 1,000 or thousands. It's not like a huge number. And it's not good studies to go off of. It's not a good poll to go off of. I disagree. Maybe people can give reasons, but then I'll be like, well, what about this? What about that? And you can go and argue, debate with me, but I have my own perspective. And the problem is, it's not really a perspective. It's just a truth. There's so little. It's just foolishness. Trying to push this narrative. Trying to push this idea that, okay, well, we asked out of 1,000 people and 90% of people said, I don't care. That's a bunch of garbage. When you're talking about a whole country, you're not going to... Do not ask 1,000 people, blah, 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 and then you get the results 90% out of 1,000 people. That doesn't represent a whole country. That's disgusting. That's garbage. That's foolishness. That's just a waste of time. I don't know. I would like to talk to these people and ask, why do you do this? Like, maybe if you're adding them all up, but I know for a fact they're not because it's not consistent. So, lacking consistency, it's all foolishness. If there's no consistency, if it's really not being truthful, really, because if it's about the country and you're trying to push this narrative, at least if you're trying to push a narrative, it should be truthful. If you have an agenda, it should be truthful. But the majority of the time, this garbage, trash, this nonsense I see usually going on with politics is just these agendas and narratives that Either they have a little bit of truth mixed in with some lies, or it's just completely lies. And I don't understand this whole nonsense of like treating conservatives like they're just absolute geniuses when they're not. They fall short. Conservatives are not perfect. Sorry, conservatives, but you're not perfect. Just because you support like traditional whatever and you have common sense and you don't support dumb things doesn't mean you don't do dumb things yourselves as conservatives. You are not holy, art thou. You are not like the best of the best just because you're conservative. You are not. Just because you're not a liberal, it doesn't make you a good person. Just because you're not like this person who's like, just because you're not a social justice warrior doesn't make you a good person. Like, you're actually a bad person because you're labeling yourself with a political ideology that is not, like, people want to treat like being conservative as being forgotten. No, it's not. Because the problem is, if you're more invested in a political ideology that's more focused on all these different ideas that aren't really based upon God, then like what? You should be focused on God. You should be focused on like the truth. You shouldn't be focused on dibble-dabbling into little areas and topics and ideas. Don't get preoccupied. Don't get distracted. Don't get distracted by a bunch of nonsense. You need to get that focus. And I know nobody's perfect, but that's also the point. People be treating conservatives like, wow, that's a problem. People be treating conservatives like they're the saviors. It's like, no. Don't be looking up to conservatives. God. There's God. Believe in God. Believe in the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Stop relying on conservatives. Stop relying on people who are identified with political ideologies. That is not godly. Read the Bible. It does not say, be conservative. It doesn't say in the Bible, be conservative. You read the Bible tells you what you're supposed to do. Read the Bible. Conservative ideology is not based off of the Bible anymore. Conservatives in certain ways have tried to become more progressive, especially in Canada. Now still there's conservatives who are trying to be more like progressive in terms of the liberal way in America, but even more in Canada, conservatives are trying to seem like, well, we're progressive in Canada. It's a bunch of dumb nonsense. And it's so dumb, regressive, progressive. Guess what? I'm going to say this one more time. I'm probably going to say this probably sometimes in the future. I'm the most progressive person on planet Earth. All the ideas I think, the creativity I have, the art, God is working through me. But what's like, I said like I'm the most progressive person, but like what's the most progressive, what helps us to be the most progressive? What helps progress? What helps us to have progress in our life? Because being progressive is about progress, right? As people. Well, who's going to help us have the best progress in our life as people, in our lives as people? God, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit helps us with our progress. Not our human, worldly garbage, sinful garbage, worldly nonsense. So listen up, politicians, philosophers, all you dumb people who identify with political ideologies. Listen up. You don't have no power. God has the power. Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit have the power. Forget your worldly garbage nonsense. Forget your dumb nonsense, your sinful nonsense garbage relying on other human beings. I don't care about no control of any other human beings, any other power of other human beings. Because it's like, who has the most power? Who has the most control? It's the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. It's God. Always, these conversations, always, the internet, social media, even outside the internet, on television, even outside, in the real world, whatever, it's like Elon Musk, the conversation should be to God. The conversation should be about the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. All the conversations should lead to the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, should lead to God, to the Bible, not to all this dumb worldly nonsense. We need to stop this foolishness. But it is interesting, the ideas, but that's why I'm even leading the conversation, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, God. Because read the Bible. You can read all this other stuff. You can invest all your time and energy in all this stuff. But you can't even challenge yourself to read, challenge yourself to learn. But you'll educate yourself in all these other stuff, but you won't educate yourself in reading the Bible? Now, who's regressive? You're regressive. You don't believe in the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. You don't believe in God. You don't read the Bible. You're regressive. You're going against what's progressive. And yeah, if you're Catholic, if you're a Mormon, you're regressive. You are against creativity. You are against art. You're against progress. Catholics are regressive and Mormons are regressive. They are not about progress. They are holding back progress with ideas that are not true. They're not based in truth.